guys, it's Megan Aller, Sales Executive with First American Title here in Metro Denver. This is your March 2019 attached residential market recap. Now, it's important to keep in mind that the reports that I put together are a little bit different than the reports that are published out by DMAR. I only talk about the 7 Metro Denver counties when I'm reviewing this information with you. And I also think it's really important that you separate what's happening in the detached market, where we're not seeing a lot of transition and change, versus the attached market, with, due to the resolution of builder defect laws from about 18 to 24 months ago, we have some slight shift that's happening in our market. Now again, I hate to use the word shift when we're talking about our market, because I don't want the consumer to think that our market is transitioning from a seller's market to a buyer's market. It's just a slightly less good seller's market in 2019. I think that we've passed that peak of the absolute frenzy that we saw back in 2017 and 2018. 2019 is still incredibly good, but we might have to reestablish what our expectations look like. Since we've had resolution to builder defect laws, that means that some of our resale units are hanging out a little bit longer in our market, and we have more of them that are building up over time. As of the last 4 or 5 months in a row now, we've had about 33% more inventory year over year in our attached market, which is great for those buyers that have been snowballing and building up, looking to try and find their perfect attached residential home. We've had a lot of millennials looking for attached product, as well as baby boomers looking to downsize. And so it's great to finally have some of those options available. As of March 2019, we had 1,768 available units for sale. And this represents a 32% increase over the same month 1 year ago. Now, demand is also on the rise, which is great, but it's not on the rise at the same pace as what we're seeing with our active unit count. And so active unit count is going up. Under contract count is going up as well, but not at quite the same clip. So that means that we still have continued appreciation, but it's not quite at the same pace as what we'd seen previously. So for under contract units, we had an increase by 9.7%. So we may not have the same levels of appreciation, but that could mean, since our demand is going up as well, that we might have more closed transactions by the end of 2019 for our attached market, since those buyers finally have some options. Days on market begin their steep ascent as we go into March, April, and May. Average days on market came down to about 29 average days, down from 40 the month previous, and it was down to 11 median days to contract in March. That number continues to decline, so just like the detached market, where we have to be very conscientious of the weekend that you choose to list those properties, same thing happens here for attached dwellings. When we look at closed to list price ratios, those were up to 99.3%. Typically, that by this point in the year, we'd be going at 100% of their last asking price. So it's slightly less than what we've seen previously, but those are still very strong offers. The way that I think about that is, with 99.3% of their last asking price, that's likely a full price offer, and then probably some negotiation that happens at the inspection and resolution period of your contract. When we're looking at flash sales, we had a big gain of those units that went under contract in 7 days or less. It ended up being 42% of those units were under contract in that first 7-day period. Now, 56% of the homes that closed in March still sold for at or over their asking price, which is slightly less than what we had seen in previous years. But come on, folks, that's still an incredibly strong number. When we look at when we're talking about the cycle and our projections for 2019, again, blue is active, yellow is under contract, red is closed. Under contract units and active units are a lot higher than what we expected them to be, which is great, because that means that as inventory picks up, demand is coming along with it, even though not at quite the same rate. That allows those buyers to have some options available. Closed transactions are starting to tick upwards. They typically trail behind those under contract units by about 30 to 60 days. We're still in our compression phase with about 4 to 6 weeks left to go on that one. So if you're looking to sell and you're interested in receiving multiple offers, you really need to be in the market before we close out May. Looking at supply versus demand, again, this shows the last 15 years of activity, and it's showing just a slight trailing upwards at the very end. But it's nowhere close to what we saw prior to 2013, where we had an extreme buyer's market and a heavy distressed market here in Metro Denver. So again, slightly less good seller's market, but still very much so heavily favoring the seller. As of right now, we have a 1.4 month supply of inventory, and we expect that number to hover around 1.2 to 1.4 months worth of inventory for the next next 2 to 3 months. The lower that number is, the more heavily it favors the seller. So if you're not a competitive buyer in this market, you may consider choosing to wait until we get past July 4th when our market traditionally opens up. I hope that this information was helpful to you. We would love to see you at our closing tables here at First American, and I certainly hope that if we're able to help you better advise your buyers and sellers, that we'll get to meet them at our closing tables. Hopefully we'll see you next week for my next market update. Thanks, guys.